So yeah, OT is probably still going to be a thing. With the introduction to this new OT, I think it's here to stay. This video is sponsored by Phoenix Pharos cards. If you need supplies of singles or splits for Cardfight Vanguard, especially the ones in the video, do check out Phoenix Pharos cards today, and as a bonus, use the promo code MetaNerd to get an amazing 5% discount. And with that being said, let's get on with the video. Greetings YouTube, welcome back to the MetaNerd channel. I am Marcus, bringing you another video for Cardfight Vanguard Willdress. In this video, we'll be going through some of the for this festival set, and it looks like this festival set is going to be quite the game changer, with stuff that basically introduces like the new OT as well as a generic card that each and every nation will be getting, which is quite scary, to be honest. We Vanguard players are not gonna catch a break now, are we? In any case, let's take a look at what was revealed the previous weeks leading up to this video. First and foremost is the cycle card for Lyrical Monastery. What color is your wish? Warschblanc. So this card, being a cycle card, does have the cycle skill, which, you know, the other 5 nations does have it. So I'm just gonna skip the first skill. The second skill, auto when this unit is placed on Rigor Circle, if your persona wrote this turn, cost Counterblast 1, choose one of your Vanguard, and until the end of turn, it gets continuous Vanguard Circle. All of your front row units get 5k power. So this, like I said, this is a cycles card, which really great for certain decks in Lyrical Monastery. It does gives you like a small power boost to the front row, and of course, the more you call this card, and if you do have Counterblast, the more power you're able to give your front row. I think this card is more suited towards Kyrie, the Grade 4 for Lyrical Monastery, due to the fact that the newly called units that was returned to hand and called back out can still get the 5k power, because it says a continuous, so it basically works like the persona, right? But then again, it is giving the Vanguard instead of you, the player. So with you keeping with Kyrie, you're able to bounce back some of your rearguards to call back out for multi-attack. Those cards are now gonna hit even harder thanks to this card here. But then again, now that I think of it, it's much more towards a grade 3 instead of a grade 4 Kyrie, because you need to persona, right? So good thing I catch that before I post this video out. Yeah, not that bad. Moving on. First and foremost is the generic card for each and every nation within this festival set. I mean, each and every nation does have this card. So the first skill is mainly the same, but the only difference here is the second skill, which is quite mind-blowing for certain nation. The first skill is basically continuous Rigor Circle and Guardian Circle. If your opponent's drive check or damage check reveal a trigger unit this turn, this unit gets 10k power and 10k shield. Second skill, auto Rigor Circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, cost Counterblast 1 and perform all of the following. Choose one of your opponent's Vanguard and retire it. If you did not retire a card, draw a card. Cost, remove a Overtrigger from drop, and this unit gets 15k power until the end of that battle. This is like a situational 23k attacker as well as a 10k shield. So even if the opponent does get like a damage check, this card could still hit over them, because the damage trigger doesn't really matter as much, because this card does still gain the 10k power, which is definitely nice. The second skill of this card does allows whatever deck you're playing this card with to be able to pay a Counterblast to retire one, and if you did not, and if your opponent does not have any rearguards on the field, you still get to draw one. This skill is actually reminiscent of Gandiva, because Gandiva do have a lot of skills that is, you know, check if you did not retire any card, you draw a card. This is just value after value. This card can be a 28k to 48k attacker depending on if your opponent is damage checking or drive checking, and if your Overtrigger is in the drop zone. So at the maximum, he's going to be at 48k if you persona right. Otherwise, he will just be a 28k attacker if you decided to remove your Overtrigger, that is. So the second skill is not that great, because, you know, he's only giving himself the power, unlike the other 4 nations card. So yeah, it's not really exciting for Dragon Empire. The possible right lines that will be using this card is either Gandiva or Eugene. Those decks that really need a lot of retiring power. Really nice utility card. Next, we have the Dark States, Causality Dragon, Crucial Dragon. So the first skill is basically the same for all 5 cards from different nations, so we're just gonna skip that. Auto rearguard circle once per turn. When this unit attacks a Vanguard while not boosted, cast put another rearguard in the same column as this unit into the soul and perform all of the following. Choose one of your opponent's rearguard, retire it, and this unit gets 5k power until the end of turn. Second skill, cost, remove a Overtrigger from drop, and your opponent cannot call a grade 1 or greater cards from hand to Guardian Circle until the end of that battle. So like the Dragon Empire, this kind of card, this card is going to be a situational 23k attacker as well as a 10k shield. The difference here is of course the cost as well as requirement in order to activate the second skill. The cost can be paid by putting anything behind this unit into the soul, which is definitely good because some Dark States deck do need certain key pieces into the soul. This card just basically helps with that, and it provides a lot of utility for those right lines. This card by itself is going to be an 18k attacker to a 38k with maximum activation as well as personal right. While not getting as much power, you are getting the guard restrict, which is super disgusting. Although Elementaria Sanctitude can still guard this, but then again, are they gonna guard the Vanguard or are they gonna guard this card? That's still something to think about. So the possible right lines that want to run this might be Greedon, Chaos, as well as Fafnir. These three cards will need certain cards in the soul. This card putting whatever is in the same column as this card to the soul is definitely nice. Although you have to be careful to not boost, otherwise you cannot activate this unit skill. So be very careful. Other than these three decks, I don't think the other decks really want this card because he's not really doing as much. And plus, Bruce does not really appreciate this card because he's not Diabolos. Very racist, Bruce. Very racist. For Cater Sanctuary, we have Divine Knight of Deeply Late Strategems Sajess. Skipping the first skill, auto rearguard circle once per turn. When this unit attacks, look at the top card of your deck, put it on top of the deck or into the soul. Cast Counterblast 1, perform all of the following. Choose one of your opponent's power 14k or greater Vanguard and increase this unit's power by that unit's power until the end of that battle. Cast, remove a Overtrigger from a drop. Choose one of your other front row units and it gets 15k power until the end of turn. The top deck manipulation skill is actually a skill that you can activate before you even pay the Counterblast 1. So when you attack, you can straight away just look at the top deck, decide whether you want to put the top or into the soul. Only then you pay the Counterblast 1 to activate the rest of the skill. So you don't have to pay that one Counterblast in order to look at the top deck. That part of the skill is just free. Decks that really appreciate looking at the top deck will definitely want this card inside their deck. It's just free and you can use this over and over and over again, provided if you don't die the next turn, that is. It is also an excellent unit to be pumped as much power as possible due to the fact that the first part of the second skill is basically just to counter if the opponent damage checking a lot of triggers. If the opponent, for example, gets a 2 trigger damage check, they are going to be at 33k at Vanguard. When you attack with this card, he basically just give himself that 33k power, which the opponent will still have to guard with very nice card, especially in the late game. And of course, if you do have the Counterblast to spare at that point. The possible right line that will definitely want to use this is Bastion, Hexaorb, as well as Soriron. Quite an insane card for Cater Sanctuary, and there's a lot of value being generated just this card alone for Cater Sanctuary. Very nice card. Next for Stoicheia, we have Admiring Flower Maiden Florence. Skipping the first skill once again, auto rearguard circle once per turn. When this unit attacks, discard the top 2 cards of your deck and perform all of the following. Soul Charge 1, and this unit gets 5k power until the end of turn. If all the cards discarded for this cost are not normal units, it gets 15k power instead of 5k power. Cost, remove an Overtrigger from drop. Choose a unit card from your drop and put it into your hand. The cost here is barely any cost at all because you just discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Zorga will definitely love this kind of skill if, of course, you do not have your key pieces in a drop zone. Roaming Prison Dragon is probably going to be mentioned here because due to how much Zorga players want their Roaming Prison in the drop zone. So yeah, this card basically helps with that, and not only does it helps you set up the drop zone, this unit does Soul Charge 1, which does provide you with soul resources. Very nice. It also does gets like a very conditional power. At the minimum, you're going to be an 18k, but if the top 2 cards that was discarded with this unit's cost is normal units, she's going to be at 28k. The recycling part of this skill is nice. You're able to choose anything from the drop zone and put it to hand, but of course you can only choose choose a unit card, so maybe a personal ride. But then again, it's maximum once per game activation because you don't necessarily always will have the Overtrigger in the drop. So if you do have, it's only like once per game. That's it. It's either you're gonna get like another trigger or a PG just to survive that turn, or you can just set up for the next turn if you are confident enough that you will not die to your opponent's turn. Very, very nice card, but then again, the second skill does leave something to be desired. The possible right line that may want to use this is Zorga. This card alone provides Zorga with a lot of value, but then again, space issue. Last, of course, is Brandgate. We have Elvard Exstriker. Active rearguard once per turn, cost Soul Blast 1, and perform all of the following. Until the end of turn, this unit gets boost and power plus 2k. Cost, remove an Overtrigger from drop, and this unit gets continuous back row rearguard circle. All of your front row units get 5k power until the end of turn. This card is like, you know, you basically just Soul Blast 1 for a 15k booster. I mean, you could push it to the front to become a 15k attacker, but then again, he works much better as a booster because due to the second skill. For once per game, you're able to remove the Overtrigger from the drop to basically give the front row a 5k power. It's not going to be the most flashy thing that you're gonna do in exchange for the Overtrigger from the drop, but still, this card being a 20k booster while providing 2 columns and the extra 5k, yeah. We have decks currently within Brandgate that is gonna hit for stupid power. This just adds more to that. In terms of the right lines, I think anything goes. This card does not really do a lot that really helps any deck in any way because of the fact that this card does not really like recycles your set orders or fetch set orders to be set to the order zone. So I think any of the right lines can just use this. It's not bad. Last but not least is the main guy itself, Spiritual King of Ignition, Walnut. I'm just gonna call him Walnut. It's such a weird name. This is of course an Overtrigger. It has all of the typical Overtrigger shenanigans, which is the 100 million power, which until this day is still not changed, and it's likely here to stay. Well done, Bushi. The additional effect for this card is basically choose one of your stand rearguards and it gets auto rearguard once per turn. At the end of the battle, this unit attack, stand this unit, and until the end of turn, if you did not choose a card, draw a card. Choose up to one of your unit card from your hand and call it a rearguard circle. It's the all new and powerful Overtrigger that is generic. Every single nation within Cardfight Vanguard can run this. It's just disgusting. It basically allows you to attack for one more time, be it a restand or superior calling. It's just disgusting. Even if you do not have a stand rearguard, you are able to superior call from your hand, and it does not say it's open rearguard. You can just call it over anything on the field and you just have an extra attack, and not to mention 100 million power. You're telling me this is not disgusting. But I think the right line that benefits the most from this Overtrigger is Griffogila. Griffogila is able to guarantee the OT activation on the 6th turn, which then will allow Griffogila to attack for an extra turn, which is definitely disgusting. I mean, we do have a lot of cards that basically does stuff that restands depending on what nation. And we also have a lot of cards that basically superior call other stuff or do something else when they are placed on rearguard circle. So with this card giving such a good flexibility, a nation like the Griffogila, Stoicheia, Dark States, as well as Cater Sanctuary might prefer this OT depending on what deck you are planning to build. It's okay, but then again, you're not gonna get the Overtrigger activation very consistently. Plus, it's generally not a good idea to rely on Overtriggers, despite the game being, if you dry check or damage check the Overtrigger, you win kind of game. This card, I think, is going to be the most expensive card. Depends on what the other counterpart is doing. Hopefully, this doesn't change the fact that OT needs to go. But it's just my opinion. And that is all for this video. Do let me know down in the comment section of what you think of all the cards that was revealed so far for this festival set. Do like and subscribe if you like this video, of course, during the bell notification icon so that you don't miss a video I upload. With that being said, I'll see you all on the field.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.